Hey, welcome to Web3 Weekly with your host, Blockstar Technology.
Let's go.
So official hi to the Insta Nation and the Twitter Nation.
Technical issues going on with Twitter today.
Yeah, with the whole Twitter space, a little bit acting funny today. So today we have Team Headspace here today joining us. So to my left I have Charlie and Craig, Charlie and Maureen. So
We get confused.
Hey, guys.
I know, right? Because I look alike. So today is like episode 17, and we thought what we had. So we had a few like while ago. We had a couple of artists as well, NFT artists, and we had a few subjects. And it's always there's so many projects going on in Australia. We think like nothing's happening, but there's so much going on. And we came across Headspace and. Yeah, so guys, can you please give a little bit of an introduction about yourself and what you guys do? And then you can get into it.
What don't we do? We did everything before we got here. So my background's in education and Bora's a businessman.
You do, you all do.
How dare I speak for you? I dedicated over a decade of my life to education. I worked as a head teacher, coordinator, I taught languages, I worked with children with special needs. One of my passions was teaching children on the spectrum, children who were unable to express their emotions. So I used to use techniques such as art therapy, color therapy to be able to communicate with them. And I ended up using the art therapy for myself as well, because I've struggled with my own mental health all my life. Hence the project name Headspace Hunters. The project derived from my art, and we wanted to do something bigger with it. I do still teach occasionally because a lot of the research I will be I'm going to put a lot of my time into research next year, and I still work with children. We started working together with Bora with his business about a year or two ago.
2 years.
Yeah, so he sort of pulled me out of that setting because I did burn out. I burnt out, I had a mental breakdown, and I couldn't work full time in that position, that role anymore, but I was taking on a lot of work. At this stage, I started painting even more, and then Bora started to notice my paintings slowly but surely, and I'm not very good at expressing my own emotions. This is why I go to paintings. This is why I like to focus on other people's stories, because if within everybody else's story, there's a little piece of our own story in those stories, and I guess it's my way of sort of vicariously not living through them, but being able to express myself through somebody else's story. I'll hand
That's
that
awesome.
over to Bora because I don't.
That's really cool.
Yeah, you go next. My mouth is dry.
All right. Yeah. So if you haven't been able to guess by now, we're married, and I'm often the one that's in trouble. But that's pretty normal these days. Look. So my background is pretty diverse. I've graduated as a civil engineer. I worked at an engineering company for quite some time. Company ended up going bankrupt, and my bosses essentially just paid everyone out with some redundancy and closed the company doors. My stepdad's a surgeon, so he said, "Do you want to help out with the surgery whilst you're looking for a new job?" I said, "Yeah, of course." I really enjoyed being there, so that led me to taking on, because he actually needed someone to manage the surgery. And when I was an engineer, I actually was doing project management at the same time, and I was looking after about 24 guys at University of New South Wales. We had a big project there. So I enjoyed the surgery. I took on another degree in medical practice management. I like to be qualified at what I'm doing. Really enjoyed working at surgery, so I was a surgery manager for quite some time. From there on, I started building a rapport with our patients. we started getting into, I won't dive too deep into it, but we started getting into medical research. This is a story over 15 years, by the way, so quite a long time.
Cool.
And with the medical research, it was actually stem cell research to be more specific. We did the very first stem cell treatment in Australia. When I built my rapport with patients, I really wanted to understand a lot more about the treatment. So, and I also wanted to write, I really enjoyed writing, even though I wasn't good at it back then. So I wanted to learn a lot more. So I took on another degree again. I studied epidemiology. I eventually published my own medical paper as well. From there on...
Sorry, can I ask, what is that, what is that?
Epidemiology.
Epidemiology. What is that?
Epidemiology?
Yes.
Look, in a nutshell, it's basically health statistics.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's observation of everything around you that you can quantify and write and articulate. That's probably the simplest way I can explain the degree.
Yeah.
Which is why I studied it, and that's why I published my medical paper as well.
Yep.
The paper was about one of our patients. She had osteoarthritis and ankylosing spondylitis. She was suicidal with anxiety and depression for a really long time, wheelchair bound.
Wow.
So it's a pretty in-depth paper that I wrote about that. But yeah, so moving there as well, we also had a cosmetic surgery. I've done a lot of self-taught marketing, self-taught Photoshop just to get some ads out there and so on. So that's sort of where my interest in Photoshop and everything started.
Oh, that's good, because I
the
thought
surgery took off really well.
I thought you guys were like, I just thought you said like self-studied for surgery.
I didn't go down that pathway.
I like that you said Photoshop after that.
Photoshop surgery. Yeah, so, but everything went off really well. The business has really flourished as well. We poured a lot of money into medical research. From there on, I ended up moving on, and I went into a partnership with a friend of mine. We had a signage company where we wrapped cars and did color changes and protection films. So we kicked off that business. I jumped in as a partner, and within 2 years we tripled our turnover. And I recently exited that just in February in 2022, which is right about the time when we decided to put everything that we believe in to launch Headspace Hunters. And as you know, now we're in a bear market and NFTs are not really getting around, but they're still here.
The project goes beyond an NFT. We were excited about the new technology. You know, there's all this talk about NFTs, blockchain. And we were at a stage in our life where, we were both very highly accomplished, very young, and we had achieved so much, and we were itching for a challenge as well. I was doing a lot with education, also working with Bora, and we studied on top of studied. I've got master's degrees and so forth. I did a diploma at Harvard. We're constantly just striving for more. And this whole talk of, Web3, we're like, we're going to be pioneers. So we wanted to do something together, and we were like, why not explore this new, Web3 that people keep talking about? We went into Web3 and reality did not meet expectation. We're like, this will be easy. We were so wrong. Yeah, here we are, revamping everything, and we actually relaunched again. It was a reopening, so to speak, this week.
Long story behind that as well.
Wow.
Story behind.
All right. So, basically, so none of the team here really aware what happened. So, it was myself. I was in a meeting, and then this person told me like, oh, course, you know what? We just had a really good chat with this person called Naz. They're doing some really cool projects, and one thing with Blockstars is like a lot of people don't know about. It's like our website is all about technology. It's about smart contract forensics and dApps and all that stuff, right? But one thing what we are built on is like 3 pillars: people first, culture second, results third, whether it's skills or money and all those things are third. So that's what the company ethos is. And what we are looking for is we are looking to support the ecosystem, the Web3 ecosystem, given that we are super young. So as part of that is to look out for people who are doing good and look at how we can help those people. And part of that, when I came from this meeting, when they mentioned like, oh, Kosi, I came up with this person called Naz and this is what they're doing. I'm like, okay, I just bookmark in my mental bookmark, and I got back, and then I was like, okay, I just finished my emails and things like that for the night, and I thought, okay, let me just jump on Twitter and see who's this Naz person, right? What did this person do, right? So. And then I went and sort of, went through it. I didn't really look into it too much. I only did, I just went like one scroll on Twitter. And I'm like, the person I spoke with, a really good relationship with this person. Again, it's like a really good person. And then I'm like, all right, I'll just jump in and just buy some NFTs because, it's the right thing to do. And it's supporting local artists. And we are, it's like, okay, if we are supporting artists, I want to start locally, right, in Australia or Gold Coast, and we are from Gold Coast, so we support quite a few Gold Coast artists. And like, okay, let's support Australian projects before we start supporting global projects, right, because we have challenges locally before we solve global problems. So then I just went and bought a couple of NFTs, I think maybe 2 NFTs, and then I was just scrolling a little bit further, and then I saw you're doing your art, the video, and I'm like, oh, I thought I saw that on OpenSea, like something like that. And I'm like, so I went back to OpenSea, right, and I saw that artwork, and I'm like, oh, I need to get it for myself, right? So. I'm a NFT hoarder. So I'm very bad. I'm like very bad. So
only a slight problem.
I have a problem too. I can relate.
Don't worry, it's a good thing. Yeah.
So then I really like the art. I don't know what the utility behind anything like that. I really like that art, and seeing how you created that art piece, I was like, I really connected with that. And I'm like, okay, I got that art, and I'm like, wow, now that's cool. Like that's something that we always say here, right? In a few times we met with artists. Don't just do the final piece of art. There's so much you can, NFT, you can package it, together with that final product.
The entire creative process. Yeah.
Even coming to that, what created that art, so then
Bring the audience along with the journey.
So then I jumped in and I minted that, and then it's funny, like Naz said, okay, I'm off to sleep, I'm off to bed, right? And I'm just buying this and I'm just like putting on tweets, and then it's all kicked off from there, and quite a few people jump on, and and I was like, oh, I felt good, for doing something right. And then only I went and start, reading a little bit about what you guys are doing, looking at the Twitter Spaces. But I would let you guys tell the story from there. So from your side, what happened? So.
Yeah. Well, from my perspective, I saw that tweet come through, and I was like, you know what? This is just, the timing is just too impeccable. So that's why I jumped on, and then I said, you just got this piece, but that was the actual matching piece for a one-of-one Headspace Hunter, which doesn't look like the one I posted anymore, because the one I sent was the unfinished version. I just got so excited I had to show the work in progress. So
in terms of jumping into the space, we did what you did. We came in early, and there was nobody in Australia knew what NFTs were. So when we came in, we felt alone. So we started to support international first, because we weren't familiar with any Aussies. We ended up going to New York to meet a few people at NFT NYC.
Yep.
When we came back, all of a sudden there was this big boom. The Australians were catching on, and the beauty of the Aussies catching on was they were bringing in quality projects. It wasn't just, here's a PFP project.
Yeah.
The Aussies were coming in strong, with the brains behind it. You know, there's so many amazing Aussie projects now, and they came out of nowhere. So, you know, how lucky for us now we can actually get behind the Aussies as you have been, and you know, I commend you for that. Like you said, let's look at fixing our own backyard up first before going globally. But in saying that, we help globally too, so.
Yeah. I guess, so what else? There's so much to talk about, but we were talking about the art before, so I'll try to stay on topic with that as well. Interesting change, a massive change within our project. When we first kicked this project off in February, I spent with Naz about 6 months building the project. And our goal was to have a launch around July, which we did unsuccessfully. And there was a couple of things that went wrong. One of them was the big lunar crash, happened just as we were launching our project.
Yeah.
That didn't help at all because the crypto market just went downhill. Nobody was buying anything. But I wouldn't blame it all on that. It also had to do with many other things. This space changes so dynamically in terms of regulation, interest, liquidity in the market. You know, it's just phenomenal how much you just can't plan ahead of time. And when we started to build this project, I put together a 24-page white paper that completely did not get used because everything had changed by the time I finished the white paper. And that was essentially about the artwork behind that, and the very original set was Naz. She hand sketched some characters which we then digitized, and then we ran it all through AI. So what we were hoping to do was use these artificially intelligent artworks we made them into trading cards, and there was over 1,000 unique emotions, and the idea was to collect these mental health trading cards and use them as a trading card game. But people hated the art, and it was just and then people also didn't like AI, and you know, we didn't know any better. We were just trying out stuff. So after all that happened, we kept trying to putt along and try to make that art work, but it just didn't work out. People literally hated the art. So we made a really tough decision to just cut it back to its bare bones and then rebuilt the whole project from ground up. And one of the big major builds in that was to change the artwork. So I sort of kicked Naz off the artist team.
Oh no!
And I decided to, sorry, it's a little hard to hear you sometimes when you guys talk, but we decided together that we would do digital art, like actual, and because one of the biggest things was people wanted PFPs, you know, the profile pictures that you wear, and our old artwork was never a PFP. So we knew that if we're going to redo it all from scratch, we had to make it something that people could proudly wear as their profile picture, something that they could resonate with. So that kicked off the entire new artwork, which you might have been seeing through Headspace Hunters. And then we also decided that some of these very, very special pieces should actually be made from Naz's original paintings. And so there's a few special pieces like that within the collection, and they're really rare, but they actually have pieces of Naz's actual real life paintings in there.
You've got to have a piece of me in there, otherwise it gets boring.
Yes. That's it.
And every hunter has a story. Every hunter has a story, and that's what we're going with. He likes the more dark side of things. I like the fairies and the pink because, come on, let's face it, realistically, we see enough crap in the world, right? I don't want to be looking at my artwork and seeing more darkness. He's always in a better headspace. So, you know, having a look at dark artwork for him is, you know, he's all right with it.
I mean, that's actually what you guys are doing with the Headspace. Like, like nowadays, like a lot of people talk about mental health, where a few years ago, when I say a few years ago, I would say maybe at 5-6 years ago, especially the men really didn't talk about mental health, but a lot of people are now being seen, it's okay to say like, oh, I'm not feeling okay, and it's more acceptable.
It's not weak to speak or whatever.
Exactly, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I think that's a really good one. Marketing, that's really good for you guys to use. And I think it's so given that space, how do you guys find it between the female and the male audience? What is your take on that
Well, that's a
in
good
your
question.
audience?
Okay, so when we came into the space, there was a bro culture. Now, this is predominantly because a lot of men, are from tech professions, IRL, and they were the first to come into this Web3 space. By June, we started to see a lot more women-led projects, which was fantastic. More women were coming into the space. There was, mental health, there's a massive stigma around it. And if a man speaks up, they're seen as weak. So we focused on everybody, not just the men. We were never just one-sided. Yeah. And we actually told one of our community members' story this week, Chalice Hall. And we actually gave him 10% of the mints this week as a thank you because we want to pay it forward.
I feel like you missed his point to the question though.
What was the point?
The difference between men and women.
Well, we know the difference.
Birds and the bees, no.
I go into more spaces than him, so I've noticed that men do actually speak up more.
Yeah.
But the danger, I've also gone into a lot of spaces where people are just going into these spaces, they're holding mental health spaces, and there's a danger when you hold an uninformed space.
You're still missing the topic of the question.
No, let's keep going because I'm interested.
Probably I'm trying my best.
You're all good.
I think what I'd like to add specifically to your question is that what we've seen when we first started the space is there was so much male dominant activity that there was a big outcry for women to come into this space. So what you predominantly heard was two things. One, if there was anything about mental health, it would be men speaking because the demographic was just biased that way because because males were the early adopters.
Yeah.
Then there was a big outcry for women feeling like they're left out of this space, and that's when the women-led projects came in. But that also topped up the voice of women talking about mental health. So essentially now I feel like what we see is very, very balanced.
Oh, that's good.
We have men jumping up, we have women jumping up, everyone is talking their mind, and what we're seeing is a huge culture shift. So these people have never met each other, they've just spoken on spaces, male or female, they all bond together and completely just let themselves out. Let the inner emotions, feelings out to the deepest and darkest secrets. And the craziest thing is, they won't say it on a recorded space, but when they feel safe in a non-recorded space, they will speak about everything. And that goes all around from everyone that we've met so far.
I found that during the pandemic as well, like it drove a lot of people into the spaces. Yeah. So people were lonely looking for places to talk to people, and it became, a vent pot, so to speak. We saw that too.
Yeah.
He's so smart.
Well, like both of you guys are smart. I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? I mean, that's what they say, like if you don't argue, you don't show have the love. So you guys are in so much love. Yeah, Charlie, you have a question.
Yeah, and I know what you guys mean, and I think that's really come from the actual NFT boom that we've seen come about in the last year or two, where years ago it was more just crypto token traders. So it's more of like my wife not interested whatsoever, but me and like another group of guys. There was like a Facebook group called Crypto for Blokes. And it was just a bunch of blokes talking about shitcoins, talking about Bitcoin pricing, trading, and then NFTs come about, and you bring an art aspect into it, which is a lot more relatable to the woman as well, and many other demographics that we're seeing. And that group actually got changed to Crypto Paradox now because of the woman joining the space. So that's
a positive thing. So, you guys mentioned about COVID. I mean, one of the biggest things, out of COVID is the mental health aspect because,
Yeah.
like people, I feel like, I think this is my take on it. I think humans are herd animals. We need to be among other people.
Connection.
Connection. We need that connection. I think being cut off, I think that really showed, look, we need people to talk to and not being able to see your family. I mean, that really brought this whole mental health aspect even to the public. There's, I think I would say that's sort of kind of silver lining in that thing. And how did you guys cope with that time with COVID?
We had a lot of parties at home. No,
So we did find our way through it.
we put up disco lights in the house, smoke machine.
Yeah.
We built a bar. We had to cruise through it. No, but in all honesty, I was working online, on site, all at the same time, and I had injured my foot as well. So it was rough. And Bora, you guys were deemed essential. I was deemed essential. So we were still working.
Yeah.
What I found with the children I was working with and my teachers though, COVID, yes, it was a different shock to the children and their mental health and the teachers. And then there was the post-COVID effect. So during that time, a lot of parents were struggling with dealing with their own children. So I was getting a lot of calls with, how do you do this? I can't do this. And I would be constantly on one-on-one calls. The worst part was there's no start and finish to your day. So routine's out the window. You're now doing extra work because you've got to keep up with everybody's emotional and, well-being was a massive deal. And it wasn't just the kids, the teachers were breaking down. We had a massive turnover, the year of, and then, the teachers that didn't want to get vaccinated, again, we're losing teachers, and then the children sort of suffer because they don't have someone to teach them. So, it was a domino effect.
Yeah.
Yes, mental health was a big thing, but, there was also other things besides COVID and the isolation that factored into the catastrophe and so forth. Before going into COVID, 1 in 4 children were said to have some sort of anxiety or depression, and up to 70% of these children take this anxiety or mental health issue into the adulthood. This is a big number. We don't know what that number is now after COVID.
Yeah.
So,
But all the statistics show that any mental health related issue has only dramatically increased.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say there's a big jump. We just don't know what the actual figures are yet. And we won't know for a very, very long time because those kids need to grow up and become adults. And then we need to assess. There's just so much to look back at. And then it becomes, is it even quantifiable? Because how do you know if the issues were triggered during COVID or if they were triggered after COVID? Was there some sort of other comorbidity, as in like another side issue that happened at the same time as COVID?
Yeah.
There's just so much that we'll never fully understand. We just know it's getting worse.
it's getting better now.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking about COVID itself.
Cool.
Yeah, COVID definitely made it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you started on this project and when you did the whole NFT journey, can you please tell us a little bit about your journey into creating your own NFT collection? How did all come about, and what was the process that you guys took to get your NFT collection? Like, what was the process?
Well, it started when he's like, I saw these monkeys on OpenSea or something.
The Bored Apes, yeah.
Yeah,
That's how it all started. I saw the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I missed the boat to get in early, unfortunately, but I think a lot of people did. So what happened was I really just wanted to understand. I was really intrigued by this new technology. So I wanted to understand it, and I started learning it, studying it, and I thought, now this is going back to September 2021. So I thought, you know what, this is fantastic. I noticed Naz's paintings, and I thought, I want to be able to sell these paintings. What a great way. I'll just create an account on OpenSea, I'll put her paintings up, and they'll sell. They did not sell. There was so much missing from it. But
You're missing the part where I rocked myself because I don't show people my work, and I'm like, no, I don't want you to show anybody.
Oh, wow.
I'm just gonna take photos, and I was gonna fucking kill him.
the whole project literally started as a way for, it was all dedicated to Naz and Naz's artwork and her self-expression about her headspace. And the word headspace hunters came because she would paint, and then she would come back at the next day and she'd be in a different headspace, and the painting would look totally different. Like one day it would be happy, the other day it would be dark with sloshes of paint and stuff like that. So yeah, when I asked her, why are you painting like this and why did you change it, she said, I'm in a better headspace today. So that's how we came up with the name. But it was all dedicated for her. We had a big long story about her journey through her mental health battles and this and that. It got to a point where it became really sappy, I guess. It felt like we were trying to milk something from mental health, whereas our core communication really should have been about art therapy, because that was her expression. So we wanted to communicate that message better. So it took a big turn from there on, but I couldn't take any time off work because I would wake up because I was a shareholder of a business and we were going through a massive growth strategy. So I was waking up at 5 a.m. and I'd be back home about 7 p.m. There was no time for anything. You'd live and breathe this stuff. So essentially, we decided that we're going to take the Christmas holidays off, and then we had about 2.5 weeks, and we're going to fully devote ourselves every single day to launching Headspace Hunters properly.
Yeah.
And we did 16 hours a day, every single day during the Christmas break, including Saturdays and Sundays. And we fully built the project, we got it off the ground, and then, we were just about to get it off the ground.
Yep.
And then we started work again, because we worked together as well. And then we started work, and before you know it, dead standstill. There's just no movement, no activity in the project. So it came to a point where we really, really were passionate about it. We wanted to get back. We wanted to do everything for this project. We were mentally exhausted by the time we get home. So it got to a point where we just had to make this really difficult decision to move away from our real life business and dedicate ourselves 100% or not do it at all. So we did. We put everything aside. We both literally just gave up everything and started building this project. And that was in February, late February of 2022. So as I mentioned, it was all about Naz's art to begin with, and it continued that way for a little while until we essentially came up with a trading card idea for mental health, which again, I mentioned it didn't take off. But then after we broke that down one more time, we restarted the journey again. It's been a hell of a journey, to be honest with you.
Kudos to you guys for keep on doing that. Like plowing through.
That's the beauty of the bear market, right?
Yeah.
All the noise stops, and we had the opportunity to stop, observe, review, and then rebuild. And and then we came up with this beauty. So
but essentially. What the artwork is now has come from what I mentioned before with having a PFP that people can relate to. So it's actually like a bit of a longer story, so I won't get too deep into it, but...
Oh, I would say let's go deep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get a glass of wine. 1 o'clock.
So we had made the decision to completely redo the artwork from scratch. And we had this one guy who joined our Discord, and he came in, his name is Luke Rose. He came in and he was broke, he was homeless, he thought he could jump into the game of NFTs nice and early. He basically just had his laptop and he was just wherever he could be, he would mooch some Wi-Fi, and he was making this thing called NFT DNA, and he was trying to make some money just by selling his NFTs. I don't know what happened exactly, but Twitter kept blocking him. He just couldn't get any reach. But we built a rapport through our Discord. We chatted, and then this relationship went quite far, So he lives in UK, lovely guy. He's got a kid. He's pretty young too, actually. He's a single father, to be fair. Anyway, so I've got a full write-up of Luke's story that I've been trying to do as a community member story. But he's literally disappeared. So I don't want to get too involved in that story because I
Yeah.
want to save it for when he comes back.
Of
'cause
course.
he's disappeared before as well.
Yeah.
He's come back. But yeah, so when we made the decision to do this new artwork, Luke happened to just be there at the time, and we were talking, and he was teaching himself 3D modeling, just self-taught using software that was for free. And he dropped a few of his first creations, and I looked at it and I went, this is fantastic, because we were trying to decide what should the base Headspace Hunter character look like. And we knew we wanted to be completely diverse and all-inclusive, male, female, it doesn't matter, right? And we didn't know exactly where to start, but when he showed us this artwork, or this just one literally bare basic 3D model of a, not even a
silhouette.
It was like a silhouette almost,
Wow.
right? Not even a person. It didn't even have eyes. It had like a little slit, looked like a lizard.
Yes.
And I looked at it and I said, this is perfect.
And we both saw it, we
Yeah.
both loved it.
We knew it was perfect from the get-go because it was so, you looked at it and it was so plain. And it could literally become anything and everything. And we said, we can use this to tell a journey. So I actually bought that picture of him, and then we developed everything on top of that base trait. And we just kept going back and forth between ourselves, and our goal was to essentially tell a story through art. Because what we wanted to achieve was that every hunter we know has a story, and we're really big on story sharing, community stories, our own stories. We want to help people out. There's just so much we want to do around this, and we've been continually doing it. So now it was time to be able to do this visually. And we wanted these hunters, when you look at it, as if they've been through something in life that made them look the way they did. So for example, I made one where he's got claw marks under his eyes that shows damage. We've got ones with the 7 chakras on the forehead. I've got some with glowing auras, some that are, the face is fully on fire, burning up with rage. There's just so many different emotions. They've got tattoos about what they're thinking under their eyes, or full sets of emotions running down their face and chest that expresses that they wear their feelings on the outside as opposed to holding them on the inside. I've made an invisible hunter that shows everything around you. And what I did on top of all of this is, once the artwork was finishing up, I literally built, and I've never seen this done before, but it meant so much to me, I really wanted to do it. So I built from scratch what I called the Hunterpedia, which I only announced on Monday.
Oh, wow.
Week. And the Hunterpedia is every single trait you can get in the collection, how rare those traits are, but what they actually meant to me when I was creating them. So yeah, it's all on our website. If you jump on, you can see it, the Hunterpedia. It's subjective though, because that's what it meant to me, and when you look at it, it might mean something else to you. And that's art in a nutshell, but that's what we tried to capture. So we just wanted to make sure that if people are going to wear these Headspace Hunter NFTs as their profile picture, that they could truly find the one that they resonate with, whether it tells a story of their past, present, or what they want to aspire for, or even if they just like the damn art. Yeah.
Well, they better like the art because they didn't like the first version. He focused heavily on the art, and then I took over preparing the panel and bringing together a multi-perspective approach to mental health. So we wanted to tackle it from a holistic point. We teamed up with spiritual healers. We teamed up with psychotherapists. We've got a philosopher and a mural artist on our team who's already also done the mural behind us.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
got
I
Boris'
love it.
father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll need to show you the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
It's
we can show
really
you the mural.
cool.
It's really cool.
We've got Boris' father, who's a doctor, and
Yeah.
I made, so my dad doesn't use Twitter, and I'm like, yeah, I need you in the project. Set up a Twitter account. It's really important for us to make sure that when we host, because we do two different things. We don't just tell community member stories. As Naz was saying, we also bring professionals in to our discussion spaces. We write articles about them, and then we host Twitter spaces where we get really diverse approach of inputs from multiple different perspectives. And that's why I felt my dad fit in perfectly, because he's a medical doctor.
Yeah.
yeah, and then we've also got Amanda Salas joining in, and she's got a PhD and worked in Geneva she worked in nutrition. So one of the spaces is going to be about intermittent fasting and how, eating the right food changes your biology. Yeah, I've just been working to get more connections, and we're lucky because we were academics ourselves. We were in a community, full of really intelligent people, and we're lucky enough that they're supporting this journey. But they don't even have Twitter, so this is
right? Because we're so deep into Web3 and NFTs, and some of these guys that are very much living in the Web2 world, but to a point where they don't even use social media. So we have to try to bridge somehow them into social media and then into NFTs, and it's like they're just like, what is this?
Because we want informed opinions. I don't want to be going into a space and hearing people egg each other on.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that really bothered us in the beginning. Not even in the beginning, it still happens. So we would jump through spaces and then we'd listen to people talk about mental health. And there would be
wrong with that.
No, I didn't say something's wrong with it.
So much fun.
There was so much misinformed opinions just being spread around. Like, it was ridiculous. People didn't know the answer to it. So someone would jump up and ask a question. People didn't know the answer, and they would answer it anyway, and they would end their sentences with, but I don't know. And then other people would say, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then they'd start spreading this misinformation around. One day I was in a space, and they asked a question. I knew the answer. So I'm sitting there with my hand up in a Twitter space waiting to be acknowledged. Yes. They didn't acknowledge me, and all they did was take on about 4 different opinions of these people that was completely wrong. And then they were like, yeah, right on, brother. Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah. They were Americans.
Oh my god.
Sorry. Yeah. I was just going to say it sounds exactly like a human version of the issue that you have with algorithms on social media that keep feeding you the same, ridiculous stuff over and over.
Love that. It's talking your language.
I mean, like, what do you say? You have a saying, Craig.
Which one?
I'm not a doctor,
but I'll take a look.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
Bad captions. We should be writing these down. So look, there's nothing wrong with there's wonderful communities out there that host spaces where people come in and just talk about their day, and it's nice, right? People aren't giving advice, they're just letting people be heard, and that's beautiful. It worries me when they're getting advice and they've got to be careful. You don't know how a person's going to be triggered, and that's my only concern. I just don't want to hear crap out there. We've been in many spaces, like there's wonderful projects out there, especially Australian projects that go out there, talk about mindset. I'm sure you would have come across other projects doing fabulous things as well.
Of course.
I could keep naming them. You've got War Dogs working with veterans and their mental health. Not sure if you're familiar with them.
We are believers of War Dogs project, and it's such a great project that is, and
the top blokes love what they're doing, and you've got Narita working with veterans and chronic illness as well. There's so many good projects out there, and all I say is please look for the quality in the space. And there's nothing wrong with flipping. It's fun. We all do it. This guy was flipping constantly, and he's
flipping NFTs to be specific.
Flipping NFTs. Because the hyping, the money aspect of it draws people's attention to it. Nothing wrong with that. But also let's take care of the good projects out there too, because what we're building in Australia, it's going to go beyond just being a JPEG. It's going to be more than just a JPEG. So remember that.
I know, right? So I was going to, my next question actually for you guys is like, awesome project. So what is the utility? What is the purpose of the project that you guys are doing, the Headspace?
There's a couple of different things that we're doing. So if you consider the NFTs essentially as membership tokens, and by owning a Headspace Hunter, you're a member of the community. a formal member. But even if you don't own one, we still welcome everyone anyway. We're not biased like that. But so there's different utilities we have. So we've got utilities along the way when we're minting to encourage people to mint, because it's great to have a project that's doing really well, but people in NFTs still want to make money. They still want incentives, and one part, you get people who support you for the project and they support you because they believe in what you're doing, but then it's not enough to sell out a project. And unfortunately, if you don't sell out a project, it makes it very difficult to get it off the ground, because this is essentially like a new business startup, right?
Yeah.
So we've got incentives along the way, which is a part of the utility. So I'll talk about that first, and then I'll dive into what we're doing in the further utilities as well. So along the way, what we've got is, I actually haven't explained it yet.
Get it together.
we've got the Headspace Hunters, right? And these are the main characters. But what I've also been working on is what's called blobby friends. So these Headspace Hunters, they have little tiny blobs that represent your past, your present, and your emotions and so on, and they stick just behind the hunter's shoulders. They float up out of thin air. And I've designed 20 different blobby characters, and there's a very, very strong utility attached to those. And along the mint process, we've got incentives. So for example, if you get the golden blobby, you get 0.05 Ethereum. So that's a monetary reward. We've got another blobby which I haven't named specifically, and I won't here because I'm going to do an announcement. But If you capture one of those, we've got our next project ready to launch already. So we preemptively knew what we needed to achieve. So we've built 2 projects at once. You get a free mint for our second project. If you catch, or if you hunt 5 blobbies and 10 and 20 and so on. If you hold all of them, there's going to be intermittent rewards along the way. So these will not just be financial rewards. So for example, we've got Miss Jen. She's a spiritual healer. She's wanting to help out our community members who believe and understand and want to learn about spirituality and spiritual healing. So certain things you hold grants you access to one-on-one time with her.
We also have the IRL coffee companies we're working with that gets you tangible as well with a discounted price. So we're currently working with Maxim as well.
Yeah, so that adds to one of the utilities, right? So those are some of the minting utilities, and there is a little bit more as well. But then in terms of membership utilities, when we do community story write-up, so we've got a Medium page that we've been publishing articles on. We're going to expand this, but our initial, we've just got published in Maxim's mental health section. So we published an article that was "Happiness is kind of bullshit." They didn't want to use that as a title, so they called it "Happy Days." We still got published in Maxim's mental health section, and so anyone in our community who wants to contribute to published articles, once we get published, they'll be formally published in print media, online media, and we're only going to expand on this. This was the very first step. So that's one part of the utility. We're doing a lot of community community stories, and we truly believe in paying it forward. So as Naz was explaining when we first started talking, just yesterday we held a space with Chellis Hall, and we narrated Chelly's story about how he had an accidental overdose, a stroke, and a divorce, and he decided to basically commit suicide. It's a very, very sad story, but very much heartwarming at the same time. So what we're trying to encourage is storytelling, getting up, be brave, share something that means something to you. It doesn't have to be a sad story about...
if you want to share it.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be about, I tried to kill myself and this is why and I'm great now. No, it could be significantly bigger than that. So for example, if you've painted something, tell us what it means. What was going on in your head when you were painting this?
Well, we've even got War Dog story published.
War Dog stories on our Medium page as well. So, and what we did in this space as well, as we were minting, 10% of all the mints up until the end of that space, we gifted all of them to Chelly. And this is another utility as a member, we'll keep it rolling forward.
Yeah.
And then some of the big things that we want to achieve, when I was talking about these blobby characters, talking about mental health, educating and growing together, and supporting each other is a big part of our culture, the reason why we exist.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a utility. And it's not necessarily enough, we feel, because it's good to treat a problem once you've got it, but if you can stop that problem from being a problem, if you can catch it early on, that's really early intervention is what we need.
Yeah.
And this is where these blobby characters come in.
Intervention, I'd say support is a better word.
Potato. So the blobby characters, the biggest thing we want to achieve with them is, so she's Naz has looked after.
She has a name.
She's put. I'm conscious about saying she's. She's put together curriculums. She's looked after multiple campuses because she's been in education well over a decade.
Yeah.
She's written things and changed. You can talk about this a lot more, but with the blobbies, what we want to achieve with her educational background and resources and contacts she's got availability to, we want to utilize these little blobby characters for education of the youth towards mental health, the importance of it, self-expression, but also, this is the really important part, quantifiable data to actually understand what makes a difference for kids and then what we can roll into education. So the biggest thing we're doing with our project is we've just kicked off Discord. Like, we don't want Discord anymore. Everything we're doing is we're going to try and do a pilot through our website and then condense that into an app and then use the app to collect data, but also as a peer-to-peer resource sharing program that's anything to do with mental health and art and anywhere in between. So it's a nice little niche where people can get rewarded for sharing, request resources, we can collect data, see what's working, see what's not working, utilize this within schools, collect data about children, about
in an ethical way.
Yeah, if they colour in certain things, how do they feel at the end of the day? But this is Naz's. This is Naz's field.
Part, yeah,
so,
you're totally butchering.
So when you come to that project and collecting data, and we have a lawyer in the room. So I'll let you ask a question, Maureen.
Oh,
Fabulous. Please.
I wasn't sure which question he was going to ask, so I'll just make up
About
a
the
couple.
data. Yeah.
Obviously, like you said, there's got to be ethical boundaries and surveillance on children and all that stuff. How would you be going about making sure that, it's all used morally and you're not selling it to third parties and they go and abuse that data? Because we all know that data is probably the most valuable and misused commodity at the moment, especially with machine learning, when we lose control of how that data is actually used and then used against people. What are you guys going to put in place just to ensure that, it stays for a good cause and a good reason?
Okay, so I'm dropping the alpha now. Don't steal my IP.
So I was going to get them to sign a non-disclaimer.
I started my PhD, then I met Bora, and I halted it. So my
So it's your fault, Bora.
So what happened was my PhD was based on new literacies and using technologies, digital literacies within the classroom, and I didn't complete it. So what I will essentially be doing is running it through a university. I will be going back to uni mid next year, and the university makes us sit an ethics committee.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to pass that, and once I do that, then the funding will come in and everything else will take place after that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess so. It's obviously a futuristic plan to
Yes.
learn the ethical boundaries. Yeah. So are you guys wanting to focus, it seems like you have a passion on wanting to help children through like their advancement into adulthood, and even though all the research isn't back, seeing what changes can be done now and what's working and what's not. Do you have a real focus on children predominantly, like being the future of Australia?
I do.
She does.
I'm obsessed
Yeah.
with education. I've dedicated my life to it.
Yeah.
it's driven me crazy too. It's so much so that I had to stop neglecting my own family because of it. I forgot to be a wife and a mother to my own child. And I had to, I was real, like there were days I would take my daughter and put her under my desk and be like, now you sit here while I teach. So, oh, my poor baby. But, she came out very independent.
I do actually have another question.
I'm very passionate about children. I've worked with, are we going to say something?
I was going to say, sorry guys, if we keep talking, it's because what happens is when you start talking, we can't hear you, and it takes about a second for the volume to go up, so we don't know if you're talking or it's going,
Yeah, that's all right. You finish that if you are, and then I do have another question for you. But I don't know if these guys know what it is or not, but I'm really interested in, could you expand, you said you help treat children with color therapy. Can you just tell me what that is? I'm really interested in the painting behind you, and I really love that it goes from dark to light, and I kind of picked up from the stories before, but obviously it's like an actual therapy. Could you explain it a little bit more to me?
Oh, and also,
Yep.
when initially Nas said that Bora is dark, on the
Yeah.
dark side, but really look at the back behind the scene,
Yeah, they need to swap places.
it's on the opposite. You got
It's
oh,
really
wow.
beautiful. Like, it's amazing. Did you paint it and she made it bigger, or does she do the same thing?
Sorry?
Did you paint it originally and she just made it into a mural, or this is her work?
This is Joe Quilter's work. So he's the mural artist who's on our team.
He's a philosopher and a university lecturer and a graffiti artist. He just has crazy amounts of different wonders out there. But yeah, this is his work.
And he's also someone who we support and we work with. He works with disengaged youths, does workshops and mural workshops and so forth. He's actually brilliant. I wish he was here to be with us. You would have loved him. Sorry, color therapy. Yeah, okay. So I noticed that a lot of my kids were very despondent. And, you ask them what's wrong and they're like, nothing. Or, how was recess? And so, meh. So in the mornings, I would start my day with, one of the other reasons I also did this was, if little Johnny's having a bad day, I'm not going to sit there and call on him and ruin the rest of the day for him. So I was very into, the holistic nurturing of kids, and I found that they started to learn better once I got to know them. And my day started with coloured paddle pop sticks. So it would be, pick your colour, what do you feel, okay? But you had to distinguish. Red means I'm angry, blue means I'm calm, green means I'm relaxed, and, you have to sort of train them and code it. And they would use these colours to explain what they felt like in the morning after they came back from recess. So we noticed that a lot of the kids coming back after recess and lunch were quite frazzled. So I started to introduce belly breathing, and belly breathing is something I picked up after going to workshops with a workshop with Bora. Dr. Sven Hansen had breathing workshops, and he would study your brain waves and show you what happened when you changed your breathing, and how, that the 4 minutes, about 4 minutes of good breathing was my thing. 4 minutes of good breathing sort of just, calmed them down and brought them back to me. Nothing worse than walking into a kindergarten room after lunch and the kids are just psychotic, right? If you've got kids,
Yeah.
So, I made it easier on myself, and I introduced this into the programs. The teachers started to implement it day to day as well. We noticed a significant change, and then I just continued to study. I did a bit of, I jumped into biomedical science because I was interested in how it all worked. So, yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah,
He's laughing at me.
He's laughing. It answered that question and about 4 others, which was great. So
Don't be sorry.
It was fantastic.
You know what?
Very efficient all at once. It was great.
Yeah, I laugh because I'm married to this, you know. When you ask her what really, nothing's wrong with you. I asked one simple question about color therapy, and she's like, color therapy, and everything else.
You know what? I would say this is the most fun we had on our podcast.
Yeah.
Can I request that we get Naz and Bora on again next
Yeah.
week?
Yeah, next
Even,
week,
even
yes.
if it's just to make sure they're still married.
This is a good day.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so good. So, with your collection, how many characters are there? How many PFPs are there? You say?
There's 8,526 to be specific. There's a big but. There's a huge
Okay.
but. So as I mentioned, we treat this like a new business startup, right?
Yes.
And if you know anything about economics, the very basic economics tells us that supply versus demand literally drives everything. If you have a high supply and a low demand, obviously it doesn't go anywhere. If you have a high supply and a high demand, it balances out beautifully. But if you have a low supply and a high demand, it skyrockets. So this is the foundation, because I've got a pretty good, strong background in business too. And this is the foundation as to which we built our NFTs on. So we're on the Ethereum blockchain, and within our contract, I've got it coded. We've got a burning mechanism. So what we'll be doing is after we have the full collection mint out, and it's a part of the utility, I'll be introducing a really strong incentive for people to burn 4 of the Headspace Hunter NFTs, and they'll get a replacement, a brand new one to replace it. So essentially, we're going to burn 75% of our supply, and we're going to bring the quantity down, and hopefully by this stage, if everything goes according to the track, demand should be through the roof. That's what we're hoping for. And we're going to keep working until we get there.
Yeah.
So what that means is it's going to bring the supply down to about 2,100. And if everything goes according to what I'm hoping for, anyone who's got some in the early days should see a pretty nice boom. So it's really difficult, because what we've tried to do is find this really careful balance between doing right for mental health, but also trying to keep the other side of people happy who want to actually make a profit from NFTs, because it's such a niche, and the ecosystem of NFTs is so new, and we've been here for a long time now, and you can't have one without the other. And even in a business startup, you can have the most amazing idea for an app or whatever it may be, but if no one invests into you, then it goes nowhere. So we've been trying to make this a very strong business.
That's awesome.
He does the business side of things, I do the fun stuff.
The fun stuff, the art stuff. Cool. All right, guys. I think we are closing. Coming to the close time for another 2 minutes. So in this 2 minutes, what questions do you guys got? Any more questions, Charlie?
My question would be, can you share your website where people can come check out the minting page and check out the Wikipedia on your collection, and also just let people know your Twitter handle for Headspaces as well, so they can find you online.
So where do you want me to share it though?
Just say it out loud, mate. Yeah, and we can add it into the comments after this.
Our website is headspacehunters.com, as simple as that. Our Twitter handle is @headspacehunters, but there's no E at the end. It's HuntRS, because Twitter is didn't let us put the extra character. For anyone who wants to support the project, I think I absolutely encourage you. Join the community, share your story. Support the project, anything, if you like what you've been hearing. We're minting for 0.0333 Ethereum, and the reveal for the artwork will be next week. So currently whatever's minted is unrevealed.
Awesome,
great timing.
And also, one question, do you do weekly spaces, or?
We do, they're not, so every Monday 8 p.m. In Sydney time, AEDT, we host a space.
We work through the emotional stack on Mondays.
So next Monday, we're actually going to be talking about anger and pride.
Oh,
That'll be the next one.
And this is the one we bring the professionals into.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And we will be doing the community member sharing stories, but that is a bit more when people come to us. We've got some in discussions at the moment, but the problem is we're nearing Christmas and everyone's sort of winding down. But yeah, so we tend to try to hold at least 2 spaces a week.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
That's great. I'm just going through your the link tree. Naz's there's a link tree. Clicked on that one, and there's the last option, the Headspace Hunters. When I click on that one, it says mint now 0.033. When I click on that one, the link is broken. So please have a look at that one, please.
It was literally working this morning.
You failed live.
You failed live.
Because I want to mint one now. All right.
It's
Oh,
probably.
it might be
it's-
he has an iPhone.
Is that an iPhone?
We've had people mint through iPhones as well. Maybe don't go through Naz's one. I think she might be using an outdated one. If you download our Twitter,
Yeah, Headhunters. Okay, Headhunters. Let me go through that
does it
one.
look like this?
It throws me under
It
the
needs to look
bus.
like
Yes.
this.
It throws him to
Okay, no. Okay, let me go there.
Yeah, go to Headspace.
So,
Yeah,
Bora,
yeah,
you're
sure,
safe,
sure.
mate. You're doing great at life.
Okay.
I make the mess and he cleans it up.
I should also mention that everything I mentioned is actually there as well. So
Yeah.
if you can see, we've got the mint button.
Yes.
Also the the Hunterpedia, the announcement tracker, everything is on there. All the
Ah.
links to our Medium and even our email contact us as well. So
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome,
Were you
guys.
guys at Breeze Vegas?
We are in Gold Coast. We are in Rabina.
Did you go to that? I was there.
No, we weren't there. No, we weren't there. We went to we were at the Something
NFT?
X Digital, and we went to the NFT Fest in Melbourne.
I was at
We were
NFT Fest.
Yeah.
You didn't see me.
Yeah, myself and Charlie, we were there. Like pretty much, I think we hardly managed to speak to everyone. I think there's a lot going on at that event, but we managed to connect with a lot of people though. Really good event. So
Or as an introvert, he struggled.
it was hard for
I
me.
had to send him to take a nap. He didn't cope very well.
I've just sent a link tree to you on the Blockstars Twitter.
okay.
Can you fix my link tree then?
Yeah, I'll fix yours. Don't worry. I didn't realize you were walking around with a broken one.
I am broken.
All right.
I'm permanently broken walking around.
Yeah, that
thank
works.
God it's Friday.
Yes, so that works. So I'll make sure I mint one today. So
Lovely.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
no worries. Awesome, guys.
If you need any help with whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
I know you're coming into the NFT space new, correct?
Yeah.
You
So
wanna be
we have been for about 18 months, 20 months, and so we have
like a parent.
so we have 20
Yeah, we've been
months or
married
so.
18 months.
And so we started about 20 months ago, and today we have so we have in Gold Coast and Brisbane, so we have 2 offices, and we have close to about 80 people working for us all in Australia. So we do crypto forensics, we do development, we do 3D artwork, we do smart contract audits for other Web3 companies as well. What else we do? Forensics. Yeah. So pretty much we cover a wide variety of services and dev work and products as well. So, but like everything else, I would say we are new in the real world, but in blockchain space, I don't know, we call it like in dog years. So it just goes in like 7 years. I would say I feel like old, but man, it's like constantly learning though. I think that's the beauty of this space. We are learning so much, like so many new things, and people like yourself, I think the more we build those relationships, I think that's what counts. And that's the beautiful thing about the current environment. No one is, it's very quiet. No one is, there's not much noise out there talking about
That's
the
the
floor
best.
price, best time ever. So best time to start building and projects and things like that. And that's what we are here. We want to support local projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see whether and see, how we can help, and and vice versa. I think that's a beautiful thing. So
I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the support. Let us know if we can support you in any way. Just don't ask me for a kidney; it's not happening. I drink a lot.
It's so random.
Damn it!
Anything
Oh.
else NFT related, please let us know.
Of
Happy
course.
To help, happy to,
If we can help, we'd love to help. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's what we like to do.
thank you so
Amazing.
much, and it's
Thank you so
likewise, likewise.
Thank you guys, and I think we're just going to get you on again.
Yeah, it's so much fun, so much
Have
fun.
a laugh. Like, it was awesome. It was
Bring your
awesome.
views next time. So I can-
Yeah, Gozzy Bears next time.
All right.
Gonna open that bottle of gin you've been bottling up there.
All right.
Reason to get it open.
Yeah.
Oh.
Alright.
Guys,
Awesome, guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you
It's
so
a
much.
pleasure.
Have a good fight.
See you guys. Bye, guys. Thank
ya.
you. See ya. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.